my name is Chris Golden. I'm the Executive Director and co-founder of myimpact.org. We're an emerging online platform for young people in national and community service programs. Our mission is to share stories of service and to demonstrate the impact of service and volunteering in America.
Hi, my name is Maurin. I am the Executive Director of Serve Next, which I started a few years ago with some friends, and we work at the intersection of national service, social innovation, and volunteerism, and how to leverage the community of people who participate in those programs and who believe in those programs become a voice for the larger movement.
I see. Okay. I'm going to start with Zach. I just want to ask you a question about, so how do you see this grassroots movement expanding people's understanding of, citizen service, AmeriCorps?
Well, I think right now there's a lot of people who believe in those programs, who work on them locally in the community, and our goal is to tap that energy and that passion for community change and add, if you will, to their portfolio of community interest to become an advocate, to become a voice for a larger movement. So that means getting other people more involved, getting leaders in the business community, elected leadership to see the impact of these programs and how to really add, not necessarily activism, but certainly an advocacy portion to their interests of the service world.
Okay, and I know that for Chris, you want to use technology as a platform to reach, the wider audience. How do you see technology as, playing a crucial part in your project?
Sure. So the very essence of how we communicate in our generation and in this new century is changing. The relationship between an individual and the entities that they are involved with, and we think that that definitely extends to citizen service and the way that we can not only work to engage more people in addressing critical community problems, but showing the power and impact of volunteerism, of service, whether that be a weekend that you give, or whether that be, as Zach mentioned, a full-time AmeriCorps position. So definitely, when we're looking at the conversation of how do we solve some of the most pressing problems that we face in our country today, technology is right there as part of the solution. So we're looking to leverage social technology, social media, to engage more young Americans in service programs.
And I know you see that as SMS texting, Facebook, Twitter.
Yeah, those are the ways that we communicate in our generation. They're very social. It's very open, very transparent. It allows for a message to be spread to a large audience, and it allows you to get a lot of feedback from that audience. So I think what My Impact tries to do is to share the stories of Americans in service in the hopes of, and globally, in the hopes of recruiting more people to join those causes and to show again the impact of their work.
Okay, wow. So Zach, I know that the Serve America Act was passed, and how significant do you think the act will be for your organization, and what are some concrete changes that the act will bring?
Yeah, well, I think it's a big act for the country. It's the biggest service legislation in 75 years. Over the next 8 years, it'll take AmeriCorps from where it was last year, from 75,000 annual members up to 250,000 annual members. There's efforts in there around social innovation, around senior corps, around measurement, things like that. So it's significant, and it's been incredible to be a part of a lot of organizations that have worked on that. And I think from our perspective in the grassroots, there's a lot of work to be done. Volunteerism is an all-time high of 60 billion Americans, but that's still only 1/5 of the country volunteering on an annual basis. So that is not necessarily what's going to ensure democracy thrives. And so I think we need a lot more of those people who are part of the 60 million, and part of the AmeriCorps alumni community, part of the community partners of those programs, to become involved, as I said, as a voice for the issue, encouraging fellow citizens to get involved, encouraging leaders to create opportunities, encouraging schools to make service learning a part of their curriculum, encouraging businesses to engage their workforce in skilled volunteerism and things like that. So I think that's a really big, the Serve America Act is an extraordinary step of bipartisan nature, but it's, we're not happy, ending there. We got to continue to make sure A, it's funded, and B, that, it's not the end game. It's not, we're not happy with the Serve America Act, where it takes it. If we're there in 20 years at 250,000 AmeriCorps positions, that's not going to be sufficient.
Right. Speaking of volunteering, How would you, Chris, how would you measure the success or effectiveness of volunteering? Usually people consider the benefits to be more intangible. How do you measure the benefits, quantitatively?
Sure. One of the most important parts of what we're doing is trying to put some sort of a measure, both a qualitative and a quantitative assessment on service and giving back. We think that the answer to your question lies in the story of the volunteer and from their perspective. We think that it comes when somebody tells us what they did and is able to attach a short blog post or a video that they shot on their phone or a picture that they were able to take of them and their friends. I think that is where we begin to measure the story and to show the impact. But then we have to take a step back and not just think about the volunteer, but think about the kind of work that they're doing. How are they trying to change the life of a child in the school? How are they trying to improve their community? How is somebody who they're trying to help, how is their life changed as a result of service? Again, it's how do we get that story to be told. I think we have, our entry point comes from the volunteer experience, but there's a whole lot more of the story that can be told once we're able to tap into that.
That's very cool. I know that you guys are working for the Pepsi Refresh project. You guys are partnering with 7 organizations. What are the strategies and how did you come up with that idea?
So in February, Serve Next, My Impact, and a group of other service-related organizations joined in a coalition. We called ourselves Refresh Service, and we participated in the Pepsi Refresh project for the month of February. There were different categories that we competed in. My Impact was in the $25,000 category. Serve Next was in the $50,000. Lift, formerly National Student Partnerships, joined us in the $250,000 category. It was really a great opportunity for our organizations to work together, to help each other out, to exchange strategies. It was really integral to all of our successes.
Yeah, I would add that, sorry, just to go back to one other question, part of the question before about the impact, how it's going to change the country. I just wanted to quickly mention this is important, as Chris talked about impact, but studies have shown that people who do a year of service are more involved in their community, are more active in the nonprofit sector, are more likely to vote, things like that. So the immediate impact is addressing needs, but also the longer term impact of our, how active our citizens are. So I just think that's an important piece as we get more people in AmeriCorps, not just for young college-age students, but especially as the baby boomers begin to retire with skills, time, and talent to offer, and living longer and healthier, then I think that's a really important piece. And there is a great AmeriCorps program called Experience Corps, which is for baby boomers, putting them in elementary schools and using their skills. So I think I just want to get back to that impact about AmeriCorps. But the Pepsi Refresh Coalition was a tremendous experience, and working together with, as Chris said, some organizations that have overlapping missions in the service field, but yet different. So we were able to tap into different communities, work together, and the camaraderie, I think, around a month-long campaign is really important because it is a while. The best thing about the competition is you can vote every day. It's also the worst thing. So having a group of organizations to work together to sort of help sustain each other is really great.
Right. Okay. I know that you're going to place key leaders in 10 different cities.
Yeah.
Which 10 cities would be your target cities, and why these 10 cities specifically?
We're actually going to put out the application nationally, and then we want to find the 10 best people. There's different things that we're looking for in cities, but we want to make sure we have tremendous organizers because that's really the core of the program. They're not going to be, we're not going to have a full-time staff member, working directly with them. We're going to have one person in DC, so they really need to be able to be incredibly entrepreneurial, innovative, energetic, and really determined to build a local network in that community. So we're going to be looking at the whole pool of applicants, but looking for cities that maybe perhaps have lower volunteerism rates, have leaders who aren't necessarily incorporating citizen engagement into their decision making, or perhaps just don't even know about the impact of the program in their community, and really educating them about what is happening, because it's remarkable how many of them don't. And that's one of the reasons when we started Serve Next was because we wanted to address that knowledge gap that there is between leaders in the grassroots level of the service world and all the programs that are doing great work but often go unnoticed or often without a strong, sustainable voice.